What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Scratch Agency podcast, hosted by Scratch Agents for Scratch Agents. My name is Stephen Turnbull, founder of T5 Insurance Services in Clinton, New York. I'm joined by my co-host today, the one and all, you already know, hold your applause, Mr. Shawn Fitzgerald, founder of Sound Harbor Insurance in beautiful Long Island, New York. Ladies and gentlemen, this show is brought to you by Hawksoft, your family-owned and operated agency management system serving independent agencies with teams from 1 to 300 plus employees. Elaine, an agency owner in Washington, says that Hawksoft is the easiest to use and it has the most options that we as agency owners can control. Mr. Rob Bowen, you know a thing or two about Hawksoft, I think.
Yes, I do. I've been with Hawksoft for about 5.5, 6 years.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. There he is, the man of the hour, Mr. Rob Bowen, owner of Patriotic Insurance Group. Rob, I can't believe we haven't had you on the show yet. It's fantastic to have you on, and I appreciate you having your time, or taking your time, rather, to be with us. We got a few things I know we want to get into, but how are you today to start?
I am good. Thank you very much for having me. I was listening as you guys started. Don't remember how I came upon it. Like this.
There he is, Shawn. That's the one listener when we started. Here he is.
Well, it was probably me and your mom's.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. We figured out who it was. I just got to give a shout out to Michael Cruz. That dinner we had down in Long Island was great with the four of us. That was
Hawksoft
awesome. User group. Shawn, happens to live down there. You might know that if you listen to the show. And he showed us a good spot. Man, that was good.
Yeah, that was good. Really good.
Yeah, that was a good dinner. This industry is special. I don't know about that, but that's okay. Rob, tell us your story. Like, let's dive into that. I know there's a few things, Shawn, and I want to talk about, but and you know, you've been on a few of the podcasts and talk about the story. So just quickly, tell people where you are, what you guys are doing with the agency, and then we'll talk about some fun stuff.
Yeah, I started about 11 years ago, basically with farmers. Did it for about 5 or 6 years. Saw the grass is a little greener on the other side. So farmers allowed us to kind of build an outside book. So I built that. And then October of 2020, we went completely independent. And it's been a ride since then. I've done acquisition. We've grown pretty quickly. And then, as we were talking earlier, I sold my agency in January. We can talk about that. So it's
breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. You just came out.
News.
Tell us about it. So you sold the agency in January. Exciting opportunity coming up. Tell us about it and what's ahead.
Company called Stable Rock. A friend of mine introduced me to them last summer, and they wanted to grow their business. I'll call it a financial services business. It's CFO outsourcing for private equity, hedge funds, family offices, accounting, MSP, and they never had P&C. So a friend of mine introduced me to them to discuss P&C, and about halfway through the first conversation, they're like, "Wait a minute, why don't we acquire you and you run that division? We'll let you run the insurance division of Stable Rock." And I was like, "Okay, that's a great idea. Let's talk about that." So we talked our way through it. It's a tremendous opportunity. It is hard giving up control, but the two principles are great. They allow me pretty much be autonomous. I mean, obviously they control the money, but I can kind of run this thing, the way I want to run it. And it gives me an opportunity to actually do what I've always wanted to do because I'll have more resources. All the struggle with independence is you grow a little bit, you hire somebody, you grow a little bit, you hire somebody. And now I can kind of grow quicker if I want to. So.
Can you walk us through that process? I think, especially like you said, how it was, you were just talking to them and let me just add this. Find somebody else in our space, Shawn, that will offer the handout further than Rob Bowen. Jump on a Zoom call, help people, have a conversation. If there's any single group Facebook page that says, "I need help with this," I'll give you $1 million of money that I don't have if you find a comment section where Rob Bowen's not saying, "Hey, let me help you." And so I just want to say that. But Rob, talk us through like what that looked like for you of that opportunity. And you talked about the more resources and all that, but for somebody who hasn't experienced that conversation, what did that look like and why was it such a good fit for you?
what as I started to explain how PNC insurance works, like how to get appointments, how to have different markets, how each state is run separately and you've got to get licenses. I think they started to realize it's very hard to start an independent agency. And you guys both know that. We all know that. What comes first, right? Okay, I get one appointment, I get two appointments, I go through an aggregator. There's a lot of different ways to do it. None of them are right or wrong. And I think after we started to talk, they realized that, wow, he has a book of business, things renew at about a 92% rate, and he's got the appointments. And he kind of knows what he's doing. You know, and I've been very fortunate. I've been in a lot of rooms where honestly I probably shouldn't have been, but I certainly was not the smartest guy in the room. So I've been able to understand how this business really works and really hang out with some very very good people. And you
Mm,
guys know that. You guys are part of it. It's spreading the word out there to
yeah.
help people who helped me. I mean, I got a lot of help early on. I mean, I didn't know what commission reconciliation was. I didn't know what a management system was 5 years ago. I had
Yeah.
no idea.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And all of a sudden, start. Go
No,
ahead,
no, I
Sean.
was going
Sorry.
to say I'm with you on that. I was in the same boat when I opened the agency about not knowing like a CRM, the difference between a CRM and a management.
Yeah, I had no idea. I had no idea. And as you learn those things, and you have people around you that can prevent you from going down the wrong path, or at least giving you
Yeah,
advice. When I did the acquisition, a paper-based acquisition, I interviewed 8 agency owners who I knew. Got all the great ideas. I interviewed some other people in the industry, and I came up with a game plan. Because trust me, if I had not done that, it would have been a
yeah,
disaster. Because I would have been doing it what I thought was right, but then finding out down the road how wrong it
yeah.
was.
You
So
know what's
that's
interesting, Rob? We spoke to somebody before, just before this call, and two things that stood out to me about the previous person that I think relate to you perfectly is like we were saying like one of the reasons we believe he's so successful is because he asks a lot of good questions. And I feel like you do a great job of just like asking questions, not being afraid to get advice, reaching out to people. You give advice too, which is I'm sure why you probably want to give back because so many people have given to you, right? I kind of feel the same. Stephen and I feel the same about that. Um, but what I think is like really interesting as well is like you're not afraid to try things, right? Like I've noticed in like the group we're in our Telegram, like you're trying a lot of different tech. Some stuff works, some doesn't, but like you always ask a lot of questions, but you also try a lot of things too, which I think is phenomenal. We were talking a lot about tech and AI on the last episode, so I'm just curious to ask you, what is there any pieces of tech recently or AI related, anything that you've tried recently that you really like, and that's been like making the agency more efficient?
yeah. I definitely have shiny object syndrome. I will admit that in
We
public.
all do, I think, to
So
some extent.
please be careful what you
Yeah,
do. But I think one of the things that we started really leveraging is something called Outmarket, which is a policy comparison tool. There's a lot of them out there. It does proposals, policy comparison. You can compare. You can talk to documents. We're in the process now of adding all our appetite guides. So now my team can ask, how do if I want to insure a vehicle in Virginia, who do we have? Or I have a certain business in whatever state. Because all of that, if you look at your day and you look at if all the knowledge is in my head, that's a
yeah,
problem.
Mm,
It's a real big problem. And so I'm trying to push as much information out of my head into some kind of automation, some kind of AI tool that my team can now leverage and use on their own. And we're at a point in this industry, I believe, where you got to kind of figure this out.
I agree.
And it's hard because we started with very points. Point systems like this tool does this one
Yeah,
thing really well. This does this. Now we're kind of layering, right? There's tools that do all of this. We all know the names. There's Gale, there's Kara, there's Sonnet, there's all these different
yeah,
tools. And I think the struggle is picking one. I mean, I live by the philosophy of no decision is a decision. And I think a lot of people don't make a decision and just kick the can down the road. I'm guilty of it too, by the way. But you just make a decision and try it. If it doesn't work, backtrack,
Yeah.
because if you don't leverage the tools that are out there, and not all of them, but some of them, you're going to get run over, because there's those of us that are doing it that we can now leverage our service process flows because there's a human in it at some point, but 90% of the work's being done automatically. I can leverage that. Like I think I can double without really adding any more service staff. And we'll find out
Yeah.
if that's true, but I think I can.
Yeah.
But you have to kind of experiment, and there's nothing wrong with asking questions. I mean, I joke with people like, listen, I'm a baby boomer. Like I was born, I'm a baby boomer. If I can figure this out, anybody can. I don't need to understand it, how it works, but I need to have a mindset that says, okay, this is the problem in my agency. There's got to be a tool that can help me with this. Let's go find it.
So yeah, with
Let's ask smarter people.
no, that's interesting. With the without market, just to dive a little bit deeper, I've heard of it, but I haven't toyed with it or anything. So besides the policy comparison, the proposal generator. So
Mhm.
how does that work? You just drag and drop like a quote into it, and then it customizes it with all the coverage limits and everything, and looks good.
Exactly. It looks really good. You basically create a
Mhm.
template
With your
that
brand
knows
and
where to
everything.
fill in the information. Yeah, brand and policyholder
Yeah.
name and address, and it's very similar to when you customize emails out of a
Yeah.
CRM. Same kind of concept. And you just drop it in, and you can create a bunch of templates, and you just pick the right template. It's not perfect. I mean, sometimes it comes out, it looks a little funky. You do have to do a little bit of work now. But I think as Outmarket learns us and learns the deck pages we drop in, it will get better and better. And that's the other part of AI is the more you use it, the
Yeah.
more it learns your agency and the better it becomes. So, but people, everything in that system you could probably build with ChatGPT or Claude. The question is, do you want to?
Yeah.
And is it safe? That's the other side here too. I mean, is your data protected because you're dropping client data in there?
Yeah. I know that's it. It was kind of the thing with the whole like open claw like frenzy that just recently was like going on online. It's like, hey, there's this tool that you can have it do all these tasks like an RPA basically for you by just prompting it in Telegram or Slack, but like there's little to no security behind it. So it's going to access your computer and all your files and good luck.
Yeah, well, and I believe there's going to be a major, I don't know if it'll be a lawsuit, a major breach, something's going to
It's got
happen
to.
because people, I mean, let's be honest, how many people have an AI policy in their office? Probably very few. And even if they do, it changes every single
Yeah.
day.
Mm-hmm.
Does your team use public AI? I don't know. You don't know that. And they're on our computers doing it, and you never
That's a
know.
good
I mean,
point.
I've seen people post in Facebook groups, hey, look what Claude just did.
Yeah.
I just did this analysis, and people are diving into that. Are you on pro or business or whatever the heck the word, whatever. And most of the people aren't.
No.
So you got to be
Yeah.
careful.
It's Rob, so besides Outmarket, any tool connected to like your management system that helps with like reports or anything like that?
We have a couple customized bots that run. They don't really run reports, but they look for certain types of policies in Hawksoft. So one's like expired policies. We have one that runs that. We have one that runs, and if a client doesn't have any active policies and is still active, it makes it a dead file.
Nice.
So, and you could do all this with reports,
Gotcha.
right? You run a report every month, and I'm a big believer, and I've done presentations on this, and it's interesting the response I get because I'll ask people in the audience, how many people print out reports?
Mm.
And half the hands go up, and I'm like, stop
Um,
that. Stop that right now because all you're doing is taking structured data, making it unstructured. Oh, but I need to give the list to the CSR so they can check on renewals. I'm like, no, 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 no. Create the report in Hawksoft or any
yeah.
management system and just sort it. And I said, by the way, there's tools that can help you do all this work, but you can do it manually at first. And you gotta be careful. But I'm a big fan of Adapt API.
Yeah. RPA system.
Also,
Yeah.
um, Yeah, it's very similar to Ivan's downloads, obviously, but what Adapt does is it allows us to leverage their API. Like our pending cancel non-pay process, we don't touch. Completely automated. 4 emails go out, 3 texts go out. Clients get them, they pay, it gets reinstated. We know everything, and Adapt kind of runs that whole show for us, along with pulling in documents from about 15 carrier portals. So we, on average, will have 400 to 500 documents, PDFs, brought off the portals into Hawksoft, because my policy in my office is every policy in Hawksoft has to have the PDF policy, documents, deck pages, all that stuff.
Yeah, regardless whether you can pull it off the carrier side or not.
Yeah, and so we need to go get it, and so and we also use a data audit process to make sure that happens. That's a manual process, but there's so many tools out there now that can get things done. We're right now in the process of going live with Refocus for remarketing. There's a lot of people doing this. Automatically remarket all of your policies and send it to the portals and come back with a summary, and then your team doesn't have to do all the quoting. They just look at it and then they go and run reports. And so we've finally got 8 or 9 of our carriers on there. For you guys in New York, I said to Colby, who runs Refocus, I'm like, I can't use this unless you get New York Central. It might not apply to you, Sean. I don't know how much New York Central's writing by you, but it's writing a lot up by Stephen.
Don't bring it up, Rob. Don't bring it up.
Don't bring it up. Sorry, it's a sore. I have a good friend in Long Island too. Every time I mention, oh, you're in New York, it's Long Island. It's a different state.
Stay away, everybody.
Stay away. Exactly.
Hey, Rob, let me ask you this, because since you offered it, that you have the shiny object syndrome, which we all do, and if you ever admit that you don't, you're lying. And we asked our last guest this, and I think, Sean, it's something we should ask everybody, because I think everyone can learn from the different answers. But what in your head, when you're looking at a new tool, how do you navigate that decision if this is shiny object or is this actually going to move the needle for the agency?
The way I should do it, I'll tell you the way I should do it, and I'll tell you the way I do it sometimes, which makes it the shiny object syndrome. So the way I should do it is talking with my 2 virtual assistants who do a lot of the manual processing and say, hey, how much time are you spending on this? How much time are you spending on this? And because I've learned that you need to have a manual process first and then go find a tool that can automate that. What I used to do was, oh, this is so cool. I did this with Adapt API. I didn't have any process. I was like, this is really cool. Let's just start using it. And we started to use it, and it was working. And then I went back and said, okay, what problem am I really solving here? So that one I did backwards. And I think the biggest thing we're experiencing now is a lot of these tools are expanding rapidly in what they can do. And so what I've implemented in my office is about every 6 to 9 months, I have a meeting with that software company and just say, what's new? Because we all get emails and all this other stuff, but because they tend to know your agency pretty well, and they're like, oh yeah, we've got this great new tool, Rob. I know you mentioned this was a pain point. We now have solved that pain point. So I think the more we stay in touch with these vendors, for example, we're trying to solve the eDoc problem, is what I call it, or the email from the mutual problem. How many emails do we get with deck pages or eDocs? eDocs are carriers being lazy. And Victoria spends 14 hours a month processing eDocs because I want that PDF as an attachment in Hawksoft, not just the eDoc download. And she doesn't like to do it, obviously. So that's a bot. Like, let's find someone that can help us do this. So I've gotten better about getting away from shiny object syndrome. And I've also instituted in my own mind, when I go to any conference, I'm not allowed to implement anything a month after that conference. Because that's
I like that. I really like that.
Yeah, I don't. My team, I think my team was the one that came up with that idea, because I'm like, no, because, and I did that initially because I had no automation, right? Like I said, I didn't even know what a management system was or CRM. So I was like, oh, that's cool. Let's just, and try to audit what you're spending on a monthly basis. I'm not really good at that. I'm not good at that, but I'll throw it out there because if you can audit, because maybe you don't need as many users in certain systems. Maybe you can share logins. Maybe this system does what you're looking for and you don't need to buy the new system. Because right now the market is so crowded with so much tech coming in.
It's crazy.
We're such an archaic industry. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
I like that 1 month waiting period. I think that's great. I also like the idea of following up with the tech because I've talked about it probably the last 10 episodes now of just to your point exactly, Rob, that these systems are now coming out with these features that you may, oh, I'm going to buy that whole tech tool, but it actually does this over here. And, even if you think to yourself, well, I don't have the time to meet back with these people or whatever, like read the emails,
Yeah.
Shout out to our good friend Dave Watson, but my gosh, he's got an update every other day. They're moving and shaking with this update. And I've been just as guilty as being like, I wish Risk Advisor could do this. And then Dave's like, hey, we could have done that 2 months ago. You just never saw it or what, but like,
I get those emails all the time. Hey, can you guys do this? Yeah, we released it 3 months ago.
But that's a great point of checking. I don't think we've talked about that before, Sean, like checking back in on these things, right?
That's
like
big. Yeah, like
instead of being like, I wish you could do it, it doesn't do it. Well, is it or not?
Hey, every 6 months, just put a block out 2 hours to follow up with all your vendors. Or, I think Rob, what you said about the and Adapt API is not a sponsor. They don't pay us anything. Stephen and I actually both use Adapt and pay full price. But Adapt,
I do too.
what I think, like to me, if you went up to somebody and said, "Hey, I can automate your entire cancel non-pay process from start to finish," that's going to save so much time. I don't even know how many hours, but that is worth the money with Adapt API. Let me tell you, it's not like Adapt API is charging thousands of dollars for their monthly subscription.
No.
So to me, that's something that makes.
Well, stop there, Sean. I think to your exact point, and Rob said it too, about having the process, the manual process of this is the way this process has to be done. Now, what can help us make this easier?
Yes.
I love that thinking. Again, it's a simple thinking, but I think we overthink it.
Rob, I got to ask you because I don't want to gloss over that because I think that is something that even newer agents could bring on if they wanted to.
For sure.
Because it's not pricey.
For sure.
So we have right now, I'll just full disclosure, put myself in the hot seat. I use Agency Zoom. I have Adapt API. We have Adapt API pulling the cancel non-pay. They put it in a spreadsheet. I think it's like every day. And then my VA goes in there and adds it to one sheet we have. We go over every week on a team call together. If anything's like actually getting closer to cancel. But I am thinking of, I don't know why, but I probably should stop. Like I'm nervous to let it. My thought is, and it's probably wrong, tell me what you think. But my thought is if I have it automate everything, automatically create, we have a cancel non-pay pipeline in Agency Zoom in the service center.
Mm-hmm.
We have automation in the cancel non-pay process. So like you said, but my VA has to manually go in and just drag and drop it to the next stage. Because what we find sometimes is like the mortgage company already paid it, the home policy, but it just hasn't got to the carrier yet. So I'm like nervous they're going to get, because we have a lot of personal lines too. I'm nervous they're going to get like a whole bunch of automation and it's going to cause like more of a headache with the customers. Like, this is already paid. What are you talking about? I'm on cancel non-pay. I'm curious how like you've battled all that because I need to get over it.
Well, no, I don't think you need to get over it because your point is very valid. And we've gotten pushback and the same thing. It's mortgage, this, that, or other thing. But I kind of taken the view of, okay, if one or two people call and they're a little upset, and then we've quickly fixed the problem, say, hey, sorry, this is just automation and whatever. The amount of time we've saved on these things, because I've met agency owners because I will make that comment and then they're like, well, and I'll ask them, how do you do your cancel non-pay? Oh, my account managers just take care of it and they call. And I'm like, that's not a process. That's just an account manager seeing it and responding to it. Maybe they make phone calls. Maybe maybe they send emails, maybe they do nothing, you know.
Yeah.
And my view of the world is that kind of interaction with clients is not an account manager's job. The account manager should know there's a problem.
Yeah.
But where we found the greatest lift is Progressive, because Progressive does not renew until you pay.
Yeah, on the renewals.
So they all go into cancel pay. And we got some pushback from people saying, you know, from Progressive clients, it says, oh, well, you know, my policy's still active. I'm like, oh, yes, it is, sir.
I have until tomorrow to make the payment.
Yeah. And I'm like, that's fine. I said, you know, you're completely fine to do that. But what we found is that it also would help with that process, because most people don't pay on time. So
Right.
they're letting it go.
Embarrassing. True story. My Progressive personal auto policy canceled. And I was like, wait a second.
You learn
I thought I'm on auto renewal. True story. Very embarrassed to say it. That was over a year ago.
But again, it happens. But you know, it and then I've had people push back and say, well, you know, I'm sick of getting these emails. And I've had the conversation like, well, if you pay on time, getting all the information. And in my office, we try to put everyone on automatic EFT. We do no cash. We don't take any checks. Like, we've solved that problem. My view of the world is the billing relationship is between the client and the carrier for direct bill. Okay, we can facilitate, we can help, we can give them notifications. But I also tell my clients, like, we don't have to do this. You're getting notices from them. And if you're on automatic, we've solved the problem. And it's also very comforting as the owner when we had someone do this call and very upset their policy had canceled. And we all know how painful it is in New York with the fines and all the other nightmare that starts to happen. And I was like, well, sir, we sent you 4 emails and 3 texts. And he's like, well, I never got them. I'm like, well, actually, you opened 2 of them. It's a whole nother conversation. Yeah. And we didn't have to, it wasn't manual out of an account manager's thing. It was in agency Zoom, and it showed me that. So what I found is over 3 years of doing this, in the beginning, we did the manual thing. We drag it, you know, and that most of our cancel non-pays, they pay on time now because they get notices, or they leave us. And I'm okay with that.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's actually a great point. And I think what you discussed about, like, if the mortgage company already paid, or if it's like the Progressive issue, like, just have kind of like a templated reply, you know, if they say, oh, well, I have till tomorrow at midnight to pay, so I was just waiting, have a templated reply for that, because that's probably going to come up.
Right. And that's fine. And you know, I tell people all the time, if you're sick of getting these emails every time your Progressive policy renews, just pay on time.
That's it. Yeah.
What a wild concept that
T5, is. Why don't move on yet, T5. The text messages. One silly thing. Are you using Ring Central?
No, I use Lightspeed.
Okay. So I don't know if there's you know, how big of a difference it is, but like, what number, when it's being text to the client, is it a number directly from like the CSR, or is it from like the main office line? Might be a stupid question, but
no, it's not a stupid question. I am a case study in what not to do with texting.
Yeah, I'm having an issue with it
because of the way I acquired my tech. I have a text number in Hawksoft. I have a Twilio text number out of agency Zoom, and I have my main line on Lightspeed. So I have 3 texting numbers. Don't do this. Please don't do this at home. So we're trying to figure out how to consolidate that. So in agency Zoom, they go out. We try to move people over to our Hawksoft texting number so we can see it within Hawksoft, and that's how we're doing our servicing. But yeah, there's no functionality to make it from a specific person. It's just a generic text that goes out. And I mean, there's got to be an easier way to do this. I just haven't found it.
I'm trying to do the text from agency Zoom, but then like I'm finding like it has to come from it gives you the drop down, and then you got to pick from like a specific person, which causes a little bit of a headache. I don't know. T5, have you figured this out? No. Okay. All right.
Nope. I have not.
All right. Let's get Ring Central or Lightspeed on the podcast.
One point I just want to make on that, because we got to wrap this up here for time, but one point I want to make on that is, and Rob touched on it, is like, make the manual process, like even for me, like, write down the process, from here it goes to here. This person takes it from here. This is what they do with here, and then try to backfill into how can we make
100%.
this easier? Because like if you try to do it the other way around, you're not going to do it. And then you're going to then, well, why is this person doing this? But then, oh, look at, they're both doing it at the same time. Why are they both doing the same task? It's just, they write it down step by step by step. Rob, before we wrap this up, talk to us about the future. What's it look like now with selling the agency? Everybody, calm everybody's nerves, because everyone's out there saying, oh, where's Rob going? Tell everybody you're not going to leave us, Rob. Come on.
Not going anywhere. We're still an independent agency. I'm just not the owner. Nothing really changes from how we approach the market. I think I have more resources. There will be a rebranding going on shortly, but it's still the same team.
Awesome.
It's still the same technology. It's still the same everything. And we're an independent agency. We're just owned by a larger corporation. And I was concerned about that. I had to really do some soul searching, honestly, about that, what I just said. Make sure that was still, because I've worked in corporate America, and there's positives and negatives, but now I think there's a tremendous opportunity. And day 2 was no different than day 1. Nothing's really changed for my team. The clients are all the same, because what I've learned is that most clients don't care about who owns or buys an agency. Is Rob still there? Is Barbara still there? Yeah. Georgia's, Justina, all my team members. If they're still there, people are fine. They don't. You just got to communicate. That's the important thing.
I'm happy for you, man. Congrats again.
Yeah, for sure. Congratulations. Congrats. It's incredible. Rob, thanks for being here. Appreciate you taking the time. Thank you for being you. Like I said, in all seriousness, you are just always helping people. And I remember, man, I must have been 3 months old in the agency. I put a very basic question in Hawks off, maybe a little older than that, 6 months old in the agency. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this. I think within 2 hours, Rob, we were on a Zoom call. It's when I first met you and had the conversation, but I just appreciate all you do for the agency. And again, just congratulations on the recent news, and look forward to continuing to help each other out here as we all go through this process together. Everybody,
thanks for having me.
That's another episode of the Scratch Agency podcast. Thanks for joining us. Do us a favor, like the show, share the show, and subscribe. Make sure to check out the Telegram, scratchagencypodcast.com. Join the free community there. Got a ton of great people in there. But most importantly, remember to dig down deep, believe in yourself, in your own future. We'll see you next week. Take care.